Hello everyone, bringing you another unboxing video today, and we'll be looking at some newly arrived Canadian kit. It just so happens, pure coincidence, that this stuff arrived at a similar time as me filming the 1964 pattern web equipment video. So two Canadian kit videos on the run, I suppose, though this is a lot less formal, obviously, just looking at the bits and pieces that have arrived as I unbox them, and we'll get into that now. Okay, so as I normally do, I've undone the tape on this, but I've not had it open yet, so push this to one side. And we'll start digging in here and see what we can find, if I can get the lid to stay open there. Right, okay, so first bits and pieces we have in here are parts of the 1982 pattern Canadian web equipment, which is sort of my end point, I think, in terms of collecting Canadian web gear. Suspenders for it there, the belt. Put these bits to one side as I dig them out. I'll try and dig all these bits out first. Canteen cover, canteen carrier. A bit damaged there. It's nice to have these bits and pieces. I know some of them aren't in absolute top condition, so I may pick up replacement examples, but it'll be nice to have a set of it together. I see there are other bits in here, but I'll try and dig out the web equipment bits first. Larger pouches there, a holster. I do already have one of these, so I'll compare which one is better in terms of condition, and I might well move the spare on. The rear pack, the butt pack, and the set of equipment as well there, you can see. And the larger pouches, and this is stuffed with other pouches, so various different pouches in here. So there's a pair there of, I think, are for the C7. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to compare these and see which are for the C1. I think there may be some for the C7. Some beasts in the bottom there, strap and so forth to go in the bottom of the pouch there. So a few different pouches from that set of equipment as well. A pile of that there. Just double check the entrenching tool cover, which you can see there. It is empty, but oh no, it's not. There is another pouch in here as well. So there we go. Seeing there a little bit of the details. Obviously something to be covered in future. Marking in the flap there. As you can see, that's actually survived surprisingly well. It'll focus on it. I think it has focused. So a whole load of the 82 pattern web equipment there. Oh, there is another pouch here as well, the same type. You can see in there. So that's all rather good. I'll just double check. Oh, I think there actually is a little bit more of that in here. There's another pouch. So there we go. And it'll be good to go through these and have a proper look at them once I've done filming this. So I'll put that all to one side. Put that up there for the minute. So what else do we have in here? So some combat uniform. A pair of the lightweight combat trousers. You can see here relatively modern examples. Have a look at the label in here. So that's the washing instructions. I don't know if we've got another label in there. But anyway, to go with the lightweight combat shirt, which I already have, I didn't have a pair of the later lightweight trousers, so that'll go nicely with that. Goes to one side as well. Slight camera disaster there. I managed to knock it completely over, so I've edited that out. But we have here a relatively early combat shirt with the 4-hole buttons, the small 4-hole buttons. Obviously still has the large Canadian type loop buttons there on the pockets, but the smaller buttons down the front are 4-hole. Same on the epaulettes. There should be a label in this skirt somewhere. Oh, that's the loops in the pockets for the liner. So we've got the instructions there. There should be a label somewhere in here. Ah, yes, in the centre seam, which would give the date. 1968. That's a 1968 dated example. Size 7 long, small, so it might be a little bit long for me, but nice 1960s example of the lightweight shirt coat, as it's officially called, if I remember correctly. It'll say on the label. Just double back to that. I should have thought of that while I was looking at it. Yeah, shirt coat, Man's Combat OG 107. So yes, that's a nice thing to have. Put that up on the little pile up there as well. Okay, So we have some respirator items in here. The C3 canister and a haversack for it as well. Now it's a very good condition haversack, 1982 dated example, as you can see there. So that's really nice with the very clear stamp on it there. Obviously it has its own carrying straps there, as you can see. Belt loops to attach to the belt, but obviously it can be carried on its own. Little carrying harness and waist belt here. Loop them that way round to harness, well, they're looped together, but the strap with the clip here goes around the waist. There we go, untangled it, and this goes up over the shoulder. So that's very nice to have, a C3 set there. Put those to one side. Quick look at the 1985 dated example. So that's rather nice to have. Always a very interesting take on, obviously, development of the lightweight anti-gas respirator, or the light anti-gas respirator rather. Canada stuck with the design and the 60mm thread on the filter and everything for quite some time. So interesting line of development there, straight from the light anti-gas respirator. Okay, so there's a couple of things to talk about as together in the last bit here, but we have here an ERDL helmet cover, M1 helmet cover, obviously a US example. I've wanted one of these for a little while, and this happened to come up along with all the Canadian kit, so decided to pick that up as well. And the final thing, the final couple of things, which are somewhat linked, something I've wanted for a little while. Just move the box back again. Something I've wanted for a little while is Canadian airborne smock, or parachutist smock, in DPM. Now, Canada did use DPM for these jackets. I don't believe they used it for other clothing, although I could be wrong on that front. I'd be interested if anyone could correct me on that. Certainly through until the introduction of their digital camouflage CAD-PAT, the standard uniform was green, but airborne troops were provided with these camouflage smocks, and it is a take on DPM, so it's another Commonwealth example of DPM alongside New Zealand, who made extensive use of it. So that'll be interesting in the future, perhaps contrasting these. Interesting design of jacket, obviously still has the pockets designed to take magazines on the chest. Uses pull the dot fasteners, so it's a lift the dot essentially. It is a lift the dot fastener actually, sorry, not pull the tab. But there, the pocket closures all have those on, as does you can see here, they replace the press studs you'd find on British airborne clothing. Look at the back here, you can see the tail at the rear there. And we've got the label inside actually, which I'll have a look at here. I've got the two labels, so we've got the instruction label lower down, and then we have the actual manufacturing label here, so 1989. So yeah, that's a nice example. Smock parachutist destructive pattern. So that is a lovely thing to have, and in very, very nice condition. I would go so far as to say is barely worn, although I think it perhaps has been worn, but not a great deal. And alongside that, one last bit of 1982 pattern which I've missed, which is the bayonet frog, or one of the patterns of bayonet frog. I think this one for the C1 bayonet. There is another example which has a loop at the top. As I say, I may be getting that the wrong way around. 1982 pattern is one I've done less research on recently, on account of the fact of having the 64 and the 51 pattern. They've sort of drawn my attention, so 82 is one I still need to get my head around a little bit. There is a manual on the way, so that'll be very helpful, but there are some online resources anyway. I need to bone up on that again. But if we look in here, this was thrown in with the parachutist smock. Is a little, the airborne smock is a little pennant there. You can see Canadian airborne. I'll show you it the right way around, of course. There we go. You can see there. So just a little pennant on a little stand there that was thrown in with the smock there. So that's excellent. Very pleased with this in particular as an addition to the collection. And you know, I like different variations of DPM. It's an interesting piece of airborne clothing, and sort of ticks lots of boxes in that respect of things that I like. So it'll be interesting to talk about this a little bit more going forward. But that's everything out of the box. I think I'll just triple check because, yep, we're all right. Yeah, there's nothing else in there because I had missed the bayonet frog. But there we are. So this has ended up being a double unboxing video because rather fortuitously this arrived in the post from a chap called Rob, who very kindly got in touch with me and offered to send me a manual for the 1982 pattern equipment. This was before I'd purchased any of it. He'd seen videos previously looking at other Canadian kit and obviously got in touch and said he had one. Would I be interested in it? He's very kindly sent it over to me. This is a different Rob. It's not Rob from British Muzzleloaders. It's a different Rob who was in the Canadian Reserves for a time, and has sent me, I'll get this out of here, the manual for the 1982 pattern equipment, obviously in English and in French. It's half and half, stapled there. So we've got an errata sheet in the back there that's not actually been stuck in. That's nice to have. So that's going to be a very useful reference going forward with having the equipment now. So thank you very much for that, Rob. There's a few other bits and pieces in here which I'm not sure what they are, so we'll go through a couple of envelopes. PPCLI cap badge, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. Very nice. Stay Bright cap badge there. And engineers. Oh, something else in there. Okay. So Canadian Engineers cap badge and collars, I believe. Show you there. So thank you very much for those as well, Rob. And there's a few other bits and pieces in here. Okay, so a set of come off there. I think there's some post-it notes on these. I think that's come off there. So shoulder slides, rank slides with Canada titles. I believe the garrison dress. See Canada gold on black on a green, a very dark green slide there. Embroidered on green as well, actually, I think, looking at in the daylight. And then combat slides, combat rank slides with the Canada shoulder title on, obviously made of the same material as the combat uniform. Boot blousing bands referred to here, what would be referred to in the UK as trouser twists. These obviously for blousing the bottom of your trousers over the top of your boots. So thank you for those, Rob, as well. And we have here a basic paracourse badge, use combat uniform. So that's lovely to have as well. Thank you very much for all of these. That's really very generous of you, Rob. Thank you very much for sending this all over. The insignia was not expected, so thank you very much for that. And also, as I say, the manual going forward is going to be a very useful thing to have. I'm very much looking forward to having a look through this and looking at the different methods of assembling the equipment. So thank you very much indeed. Excellent. So I hope you found that interesting. Obviously, there will be more videos on this stuff going forward in more detail, looking at the 1982 pattern web equipment and so forth. If you'd like to see those and you've enjoyed what you've seen on the channel, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And whether you're new to subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the little notification button down below, which will alert you when I upload future videos. If you'd like to support the channel, you can. There's a PayPal and a Patreon link down below, and a massive thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those methods. It's greatly appreciated. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. There's Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, all linked down below as well. If you'd like to get in touch with me, but you don't really use social media, you can, of course, email me, as Rob did. There's an email address down below as well. But that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. So until next time, bye for now.